Our golden summer has come to an end, and our icy late October is upon us. The weather became unpredictable. Winter is coming, or here, depending on your point of view. The night frost has taken our tender plants. Leaves have been falling for weeks now. The birds are moving differently, they're talking to one another differently, and many of them have already flown south. The end of October and the first few days of November are an eerie time. Our children know that. They dress up in costumes. They go trick-or-treating. They like the mystery of the night and being someone else. Christians are about to mark All Saints and All Souls Days. And from October 31st to November 2nd, our Mexican neighbors celebrate the dead with music and food and dancing. It is the night where life on earth and life in the land of the dead are the closest and the easiest to cross over. Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, combines ancient Aztec rituals with Catholicism, so it has been around a very long time. It's not related to Halloween, which has its origins a third of the way around the world. Dia de los Muertos originated in Mexico, but it soon spread south to Latin American countries. And as Lucy will tell you, it's still in New Mexico. It's also with several of the families in my apartment building, so it's here in Bozeman too. It's a very spiritual time in those cultures, a time that reunites the living and the dead. It's a family reunion, and it's filled with joy, and the guests of honor are the dead. The beloved person's favorite foods and drinks will be served. As I said, the kids' stories, families go up to the gravesite, they clean off the gravesite, they bring a picnic. They remember with joy and celebration what their loved one meant to and still means to them, the lessons they learned. They remember with joy and celebration. They throw the petals of the marigolds out to make a pathway. People dress like skeletons, they dance, they paint their faces up like skulls. It's all very animated. But if we aren't Mexican, Latinx, or Aztec, why am I suggesting we do this? Well, partially because I want us to have time to pause and to honor those who made an impact on our lives. For those who, as we heard in our chalice lighting words, continue to bless the world through us. And we don't always have a place we can do this in our mainstream American culture, because our mainstream culture has a really difficult time even saying the word death or dead, and certainly doesn't really conceive of celebrating the dead as a way of being with them in a party. We lose people and they pass away. You can watch television show after television show in which the surgeon comes out and says, "I'm sorry," or nothing at all, and just stands there looking into the distance. When the surgeon can't say, "I'm sorry, but your beloved has died," we as a culture are not good at it. So let's just embolden ourselves to have an honored and celebrated relationship with our close friends and our family members who have died. You, from time to time, can find me on the bench by the library, between the library and the labyrinth, I think, actually, having a conversation with my maternal grandmother, who died in 1987. But by the bench, by the little reading, the little Humpty Dumpty egg that sits on the bench, there I am, asking my grandmother for some advice. She was tough because she was a farm woman and a homesteader, but she was tender and kind and generous. She spent her teen years in an orphanage because her mother could not afford to take care of her. Then she married and she homesteaded on a farm in Minnesota. Well, actually, the husband had already homesteaded it, but she went and worked the farm in Minnesota. After she was widowed, she moved out to the Seattle area to be with her many relatives and her 2 adult daughters. And she went from the cold, steely, she would say abusive, brother in faith to a warm, Quaker-like Methodist one. She could interact with anybody, her generosity abounded, and she could find the good everywhere, which was a role model for me. And she's the one I'm celebrating today. I can see that part of you either read the e-news or the newsletter or something that invited, where you saw you could bring a photo or an item that reminds you of someone who has died. And if you didn't remember, because I fall in that category, definitely from time to time, there's a little note card in your order of service. You can write someone's name or names and maybe something they taught you, a gift they gave you. You can even tuck that part on the inside. You can also put a word or a sentence about anything you want to them. Maybe it's something that you want to just share with them. And this is how they live on through us. Any of the items can be placed upon the altar in just a minute, but before we come up to the altar, let's just take a moment to consider our loved ones who have died. The following words are a meditation by Christine Robinson. At this darkening time of the year, our thoughts turn to things past, to life retreating, to those who are no longer with us. Images come to our minds of dear companions who once graced our lives, loved ones whom we miss, persons whose lives made an impact on our lives, all of those who were here contributing and caring, but they're now gone. Our memories bring both joy and sadness, and let us not push those feelings away. For our recollections attest to the enduring importance of these friends, this love, our memories. May these brave and lovely spirits live again in our tender thoughts and prove that death and distance are powerless to sever the bonds that connect truly loving hearts.